So what up, my boy?
What's going on, Ty?
We chilling. All right. So question of the day, right? Does love die, or does your mind just move on?
Well, in that aspect, I think it plays in both parties. Like, it's falling out of love with somebody.
I mean, yeah, but what I will say is, I don't feel like people ever really fall out of love. I just think that we find a way to cope with it, cope with whatever the situation was, and our mind makes us move on. Because why do you think people still, even if they find a way to be cordial with each other, right? Or they're beefing back and forth. There's still some type of love there between them, right? But we just, as a human being on this earth, right? We have to find a way to say, all right, well, this isn't what, I want it to be, so I have to move on. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't think we really ever really fall out of love. You know what I'm saying? That's why you have people, baby moms and baby dads beefing with each other, and then they end up finding a space where they're cordial, right? But that doesn't mean they're out of love. That just means they have an understanding of, okay, well, we're not together, but we still got to make this work. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, you didn't fall out of love at that point in time. It's just a breakup at the end of the day. And now you got to move on with your regular day life. But if a person passes, that's when you realize you really do love a person, though. 'Cause now all you have is the memory of them now. There's no more picking up the phone and having that regular conversation or that argument that you crave for. I'm going to start some trouble today.
No, that's a fact. And even when they pass, you had to ask yourself like the question of love. That's where it becomes like really like a real question is when somebody does pass, because I'm not gonna lie, I've had family members that I've been around since I was younger, and when they pass, I didn't really feel nothing. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's that really, when somebody passes, and it's sad that it is like that, but when somebody passes, that's when you really like answer that question of, did you really love them? You know what I'm saying? Like, and love comes in all different shapes and sizes or whatever. But when somebody passes, that's when you really figure out like, did you really love this person or not? But even if they still here and you're in a relationship with them, right? Or your whatever happened, your relationship went sour, right? You still have love for this person. And even if the dynamics of your love for this person changed, you still have love for them nonetheless, right? But it's your mind is going to eventually, if you have enough common sense, your mind is going to eventually tell you like, yo, bro, she don't want you. So you got to move on. Even if your heart is saying like, nah, this is where I want to be at, your mind is going to kick in that logic and say, yo, she don't want us, bro. We got to go do what we got to do. You get what I'm saying? That's how your mind is gonna work. So me personally, I feel like people don't never fall out of love because it could be years down the road, and you can rekindle something. Even if y'all ain't been together in years, you could still rekindle something. It was just at that point in time, your mind had told you we got to move on. But when you see that person again, everybody's seen it. How many people we know done spun the block?
Few
You know what
times.
I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm
Few
saying?
times.
It is what it is. You're gonna spin it because it never like really goes anywhere. Like your mind just coped with whatever the situation was, right? However y'all departed.
But you just love that person at that moment in time now. So it's like you just dealt with it. You still love them though.
Yeah.
It didn't die off. But
It,
when you're in a relationship and you thinking like, damn, I really don't love you no more. Like
but that
I feel nothing no more. The little things of her walking around cooking and cleaning for you, just regular shit while you playing your game. Now you just like, yo, you're annoying.
but when a situation like that happens, right? Are you really like out of love, or does the dynamics of your love change? You get what I'm saying? Because let's just say like this: you're gonna love a family member different than you love somebody who's in a relationship. You're in a relationship with, right? But you still love them. But the dynamics of that love is different because of the position that they hold. So you get in a relationship with somebody, y'all all lovey dovey, and y'all really like physically intimate with each other and all of that, right? But when that starts to die down, and you say to yourself, I don't really love this person. That's your mind speaking, not your heart, because this person's still around, right? That's your mind saying, we don't really love this person. But does your mind really know love? You know what I'm saying? So the only thing I could say is like in moments like that, the dynamics of how you love that person changes. Because even if you say, I don't love this person and y'all break up, I can guarantee you, you're still going to think about that person. And I can guarantee you, there'll probably be a time, because like we all have been guilty of it, right? Where you might see that person a year or two down the road and you might try and spin the block. Or even if you don't try to spin the block, right? You have a conversation with them, and then all of those memories that you guys did have are going to resurface. All those feelings that you did have before are going to resurface, especially if you see them doing good and healthy.
Yeah, but that's if you love them though. But if you don't love that person no more, them feelings is not gonna come back around. You're gonna remember like, this is why I can't stand you. This is why I moved on.
So this is my opinion, right? I feel like hate, right, when or
Hate is a
dislike,
strong word.
it is a strong word, but nonetheless, it's the opposite of love, because love is a strong word. Even though people, you have like, you have love, you have dislike, you have hate, right? So when you get to that point where you really dislike somebody or you hate somebody, to me, I feel like you still have love, because that feeling, that's the foundation of that hate. You get what I'm saying? Like, how can you can't hate somebody that you don't really know, or you haven't felt something for that person.
Not necessarily. You've never been around a person you was like, yo, this person never did nothing to me, but I
No,
just don't
you might get a bad vibe from them, but you don't really know them to say, I hate this person or I really dislike this person. You might just get a bad vibe and be like, yo, I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but there's just something about this person. And you try to your best to stay away from that person. But you can't really say, yo, I really dislike this person or I really hate this person. You can't say that because you don't know them.
Yeah, you
So
don't have a
hate,
solid foundation. I get it.
yes, love is the foundation of all of that, all those emotions that you feel. So it's like, even if you say you hate somebody, you really love this person, but whatever happened between y'all made your feelings like mix. But because you still think about this person, and that hate is derived from love. You get what I'm saying? Like, so at the end of the day, that's why I feel like it's all like full circle, and like you always love somebody. Even when you think you dislike them or you really hate them, you really secretly still love them. You get what I'm saying? Because that's the foundation of those emotions. Like,
But now it sounds like you're hiding your true feelings then when you say
but
that.
people do that, and it might be a situation where you don't even know that you're hiding your true feelings, because you don't really know how to express how you're feeling. You just know you're feeling something uncomfortable inside, and it's this person's fault. In your mind, it's this person's fault. So you're feeling uncomfortable inside because of this person, but you don't really know how to express how you're feeling. A lot of us do that. Especially as guys, we don't know how to really express. We're not like tapped into our emotions like that for the most part, where we can express how we exactly feel. For the most part, we're guys, we're simple.
That's
So
because if we tell somebody how we feel, we're gonna be sensitive.
it's vulnerability. Yes, it's vulnerability. We don't want to be open like that. Like, we don't want to open this up like that. Like, nah, like we're not that type, and we're very simple. You know what I mean? As guys, like females, I will always say this. Like, females, they're way better at understanding what they feel. You know what I mean? They even say when they talk, well, this makes me feel like, and I feel like they're better at understanding how they feel. Guys, no, we know happiness, we know anger, you know and that anger could really be a lot of things. That anger could really be sadness, what I'm saying, but we don't know how to really, we don't know what we feeling. We just know whatever this is, we don't like it. So therefore, the first thing that comes to our mind is anger or violence or something like that, because we don't really know how to tap into our emotions.
That's because all feelings are not factual though.
It's not, there is no facts behind because it's a feeling. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing to solidify how you really feel except for you yourself. You know what I'm saying? But that's all you have.
But someone will tell you how you feel when you're expressing your feeling. They'll be like, no, this is how you really feeling, man. You'll be like, no, I'm not. I'm feeling this way. I'm telling you. And you'll be like, no, you probably thought about it this way. And somebody's trying to alter your feeling of what you have.
People do that. I feel like that's, therapists do that. That's, You know, I mean, nothing against them, but I feel like therapists do that. You know what I'm saying? And they're basing that off of societal facts. You know what I'm saying? Because commonly, if you do this, right, most people who do this, it's because of this. So then that's how they say, well, that's why you're acting like this because of this. But realistically, you can't really say that. Like, is it a possibility of you acting like that because
It's a possibility.
yeah, it's there. It never you can't, but it's not 1,000%. But they will try and convince you that it's 1,000%. People around you, not just saying a therapist, but people around you, right? If you feel some type of way about something, and every time you know you get into a mode like that, somebody might think like, well, every time I see somebody do that, it's because of this. So you got to be feeling like this because every time I see somebody do that, it's because of this. So this is what your problem is. And it really might not be that. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, if that person is trying to hit you with, these societal facts, what, we deem to be normal when somebody's acting like that, and you don't know how to express yourself, then you're going to get even more angry at the situation because you don't know how to really articulate what you're feeling. And a lot of the times us as guys, we get into those. That's where we get into the, what, I don't even care, I don't give a fuck. Like, it is what it is.
But that's the feeling that you're expressing at that moment in time.
It is. But if you can't really articulate it to a point where this person can understand it and even you can understand it when it's said out loud, because a lot of people, I've had conversations with people where they can talk all day in their head, but when they try to spill it out loud, it doesn't sound like what it is in their head, so they can't articulate it out loud. You know what I mean? For understanding, because something, you can say something out loud and it sounds completely different than how you were saying it in your head.
It might sound rude.
It might be rude, or it might not. You might, in your head, it might make more sense. And I've done this before.
Plenty of times.
Something sounds perfectly fine in my head, and when I start, regurgitating it out loud, I'm like, wait, hold on, that don't even make sense. You know what I mean? Because now your ears are open more than just your head. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. Like, I just feel like most of the stuff that we feel, it derives from love, right? And it's something happened. Whatever that person did, or you feel like that person did, or it could even be something you did that you don't want to admit, or whatever, right? But it alters how you love this person. But ultimately, it's still love. Whether it's, compiled with hate on top, or dislike, or anger, whatever it is that you compiled on top of this love, if you dig back all of that stuff, at the at the end of the day, it's still love there. Because if it wasn't there, you wouldn't even care. It wouldn't get you angry. You wouldn't feel hatred. You wouldn't feel none of that. But because you still love this person, that's why you feel all of that.
Or you wasted time. You
Yeah,
wasted valuable time that you can never get back. You put your all into it.
that's a good point, because that definitely does happen in relationships. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all been there for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's still, I feel like that can't be the only you feel like that can be the only reason in certain situations why somebody feels some type of way about somebody, like they don't love them no more, but because they feel like their time was wasted, that's the basis of why they feel like that towards that person.
Yeah, they're comfortable at that moment in time when they're around them and everything like that. So everything feels like I still love you, but I don't. Because if you was to move out, you'd be fine again. You still might break down and have a mental problem, low key. But that's because you wasted so much time. And you would have said, yo, I should have been did this. I should have been did that. I don't love this person. I'm not happy.
I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I feel like it's more to it than that, but that's definitely you know things that do happen, and there's a lot of regret in situations like that, because, and there's also the fear too. A lot of people
Yeah.
don't, they get so comfortable, they're scared to move on. And then I've even spoken to people where they, said that the person they were with, was able to basically manipulate them to the point where they felt like they won't be okay without this person. So they never like really moved on, or they were scared to move on because they felt like they wouldn't be okay if they left this person. they wouldn't know how to survive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
they was manipulated that way though.
yeah,
So
but
that love
I
altered
can't really
differently.
like take away from the situation because I'm sure like that has to be, a sad situation or a bad situation when somebody's able to really manipulate your head like that. You know
Because
what I
I had
mean?
to grow to love you at one point in time. When I first met you, I didn't know you. I just knew I was attracted. That's about it. So I had to grow to that love.
No,
Some people say love at first sight, but you had to grow to it.
yeah, I don't really believe in love at first sight. I do believe you can have a strong like for somebody, but you
Yeah.
don't really know them.
So
You know what
what
I'm
can you
saying?
love?
Yeah, exactly. Because love to me is like an all around thing, just like beauty, right? I won't call a girl beautiful unless I know her mentally as well as what I see on the physical. And I'm saying if I'm just looking at you physically and you look good, I'm gonna say you're gorgeous. You know what I mean? Because I'm complimenting your physical. But if I say you're beautiful, that means I'm talking about your mind, your personality as well as your physical. You know what I'm saying? But so I feel like same thing with love. Like I could really like somebody, right? And it could be love at first, like if I mean, like at first sight or whatever, if that makes more sense. But to love somebody and you don't even know them, to me that doesn't even make sense.
Doesn't mean it though. But
Yeah.
people say they feel it though. They just knew when they seen that person that they was gonna love them.
I think it's the natural feeling that they feel. You know what I mean? Because we're like you can start talking to somebody and basically your conversation with that person can flow more natural than you with somebody else. Sometimes you might talk to somebody and the conversation feels forced, right? Or you feel like you're trying too hard to just have simple conversation. Where you might just come across somebody where y'all conversation is just flowing.
It's just genuine.
Yeah. So I feel like people feel a more natural connection to somebody, but to call it love, and, that I guess that makes it simpler. But to call it love is just like really? What do you really love about this person? You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. At the end of the day, from my perspective, right? At the end of the day, is people say money's the root of all evil, but love is the root of a lot of emotions that we feel, right? And so we never really fall out of love, but our mind, because that's different than our heart, right? That's different than our feelings. Our mind is telling us if we have enough, common sense in our head, yo, you got to move on from this. Like you got to move on. As much as you still care for this person, and you, I feel like when you're not ready to move on, that's when you build that dislike and that hatred because you want this person to quote unquote act accordingly, and they're not, right? So you start to build this resentment, this hate towards this person because realistically, all we want to do, right? The reason why we talk to people and we get into relationships is all we want to do is just love this person.
At that moment in time.
Yeah, but when that person isn't like taking your love how you want them to take it, right? They're not receiving it correctly. That makes you start to. That it'll be like if you cooked, right? You cooked a whole meal for Shorty. She come through the door and she's like, "Nah, I'm not really hungry." Or she come through the door with McDonald's or something. You gonna feel some type of way because you're gonna be like, "Yo, I done cooked, I done slaved, I done made you this, that, and the third, and you gonna come through the door with McDonald's?"
That's because it's disrespectful now. Like
And that's how
you're not even gonna try my food.
but that's how people feel when it comes to love and relationships. So people will, act a certain type of way. They will do certain gestures and they'll, do all of these things to get somebody to love them how they feel like the person should be receiving their love. And when a person doesn't receive it like that, that's when you start to build this resent like, yo, I'm doing all of this and you over here just cheating or, you're just not paying me no mind. Like, it makes people feel some type of way.
It do, but to a certain point though, if you're moving away happily, as in like, yo, I'm done with the situation, I genuinely don't love you. This is why I'm leaving.
That's maturity. You know what I mean? Not all of us have that, but that's maturity. That's an acceptance. That's what I feel like maturity is. It's an acceptance of the situation and the person you are and the person that you used to be. Right? That's maturity. You're understanding and you're accepting this. Right? So you can be like, I accept who you are, but I'm not dealing with it. It's not for me. You know what I'm saying? And you're mature enough to say, I don't even want no problems. I really genuinely want you to find happiness, and I'm gonna find happiness over here.
You don't think your love died?
No, because you're never gonna stop thinking about that person. Like,
That is not true. There's some people in this world that I do not think about.
no, no, there's people, right? But let's just go off this, right? I don't know how many people, how many females you've actually like intertwined with, but the ones that you said you really love, could you still name them to this day?
Of course,
Why?
automatically.
Automatically,
Yeah.
because that it never. You might have came across females that you liked and you liked a lot, and those ones are gonna like they're gonna disappear in your head somewhere, or you might be like, oh man, yeah, I forgot about. But the ones that you love and you knew you loved, you can name those because it never really went anywhere. You just had to move on from that situation.
Or did I stop trying in situations
Even if you
where it's
did
like,
stop trying,
I should have kept trying for this. You've seen your wrongs, you've
that's
seen your
regret.
rights later on.
That's regret because we all been there. We all felt like there was one that we let go, right? Where we've it might have just not have been the right time for us and that person. But we all definitely been there where we feel like there was one that we let go. You know what I'm saying? But that love was still is there. Even if you stop trying,
That's
you
when you
can
hope
still
that one
think
comes
about
back
that person.
around.
Yeah,
That's why
you gonna
you
spin the
always
block.
keep staying with that one person or in contact. You're like, nah, I gotta keep in contact with this person.
Yeah,
This
because
is it.
you're waiting
Like,
for that opportunity to present itself again. But sometimes it might be too late. Sometimes, like I said, that's how certain people rekindle their love and stuff like that because they can had a situation or been in a relationship years prior to broke up and then 2 3 years or however many years have moved on from this situation, right? And they meet each other at a spot or whatever, they see each other again, they can rekindle what they had before because it really never went nowhere, right? Like that feeling that they had for each other never really went nowhere. It's just now mentally they're in a different state where they can accept certain things and they are able to show certain things that they couldn't do before. You know what I'm saying? Like you could be young and be quote unquote in love with a female, and but y'all young, so y'all gonna make a lot of mistakes just naturally, right? And that situation is just gonna is probably full of turmoil and toxicness, right? Because you're just young, you're just making mistakes. It is what it is. Somebody cheated, somebody just wasn't acting right, whatever it is. And
it's
you
because
could,
you're doing right from wrong. You know what you're doing.
yeah, but you're those mistakes. Even a kid knows right from wrong, but just naturally how our minds work because we're not at the mature enough level to actually distinguish. Don't do this at all. We know right from wrong, but we haven't established that mark in our head to say don't do this at all. It's not worth it. It doesn't balance out for us. You get
Or
what
you
I'm
just
saying?
don't care
Yeah,
at that moment in time.
you're
You're like,
not
yo,
thinking
I'm,
about
I'm
it.
gonna do it.
You know how many times I got in trouble when I was little because it wasn't that I didn't care, but I wasn't thinking about the repercussions of my actions. I knew if I got caught, I was going to get in trouble.
So you was hoping that you'd get away.
Exactly.
So
That's
you
the
didn't care.
no, no, no. It's not that you're not thinking about it to that extent, right? Now that I'm an adult, right? I know what I'm doing, right? So I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't go into a store and steal a little piece of gum, right? Hoping like, all right, let me just not get caught. Nah, I'm not gonna do that because I'm really thinking about everything I have on the line. Is this little pack of gum really worth it? You know what I'm saying? As a kid, you're not balancing out. You're not using a pendulum scale to say, if I do this, I already know all of this. You're not really, that this stuff can happen, but your mind is more set on, all right, let me see if I could get away with it. Before,
Now you're just doing it for fun now. That's what it sounds like. Oh, let me see if I can do it for
a
fun.
lot of kids do, but
Yeah, like
or it's just because their minds aren't thinking that. Like most kids, we think even though a kid can think deep and kids are really smart, They just keep things at the surface. Even a lot of adults do that. They keep everything at the surface. They're not really digging deeper to say this can really happen in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody has a preconceived notion of jail and stuff until you actually go there and you're like, oh shit, like this is real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like on the outside, we know jail is real. But when you actually go in there, then it's like, yo, this is really real. Like this is really jail. Like, you know what I mean? This is really a prison. Like, you know what I mean? It's different when you're actually in the moment compared to when you just you know it's there, but it's not you're not really thinking about it like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you don't care. You're just not thinking about it to that extent. You know it, but you're not thinking about it to that extent. You know what I'm saying? Like a person like me, I'm very punctual. So I'm always on time to work or wherever I go, I follow the clock. Some people don't care, right? Or some people just don't think about it like that to the point where like they're on time. They know they got to be to work at a certain time, but really the repercussions aren't really there. So they're gonna stroll in whenever they want. You know what I'm saying? It's not even at that point. It's not even so much about caring or not. It's just you're just not thinking about it like that. You know what I'm saying? Because you haven't really met the. If you got sat down in the office and they're like, "Yo, this is your last time coming in late. And if you come in late one more time, you're gonna get fired." I can guarantee you that person's gonna be on time from there on out.
Not necessarily. I know people who still did that at my job to this day.
So then that's to
They
this
got
day.
literally got pulled into the office like, yo, you got to stop being late. They may slow down, but then went right back to the same pattern, just like that.
Then that's somebody who just doesn't care. You know what I mean? That's just somebody who doesn't care. And you know, that's a strong possibility in things that happen. Like there are people who just genuinely don't care. You know what I mean? There's certain things that I don't care about that but that's only if it's not affecting my immediate life or I don't have any type of say or control over it. If I don't have any say or control over it, I don't really care because it's not really affecting me or there's nothing I can do about it anyway. So why even give it that type of energy? You get what I'm saying? Some people just really don't care.
So if somebody like like a surgeon, if you're working on somebody trying to save a person's life, do you think they consider that they care about somebody, or do they love this person to live?
I mean, that's a good question because there's, you know, a lot of aspects that go into that, which is, you know, one, this is their job. Two, they can just have that passionate feeling. It might not even be the individual on the table that they're working on, right? Because probably to them, it could be anybody on that table.
Usually is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it could be anybody on that table and they'll probably still have the same feelings only because they're passionate about what they do, not the person. You know what I'm saying? Now, I feel like if it was somebody they know, it would be different. But that just because they're working on this person to save them, that surgeon may not even really have any type of feeling towards this person or whatever. It's just their passion for what they're doing.
That's really kind of hard to explain in a way. It's like if a kid walks in
Mhm.
hurt and you don't do what you're supposed to do at that moment in time. You didn't care what about your job at that moment in time. You care about the kid. All you want is the kid to do is live. Which I've seen it from surgeons have like a mental breakdown from that. They just want the kid to live, but they couldn't.
No, I get
So
that. And well, you know, when you're in that type of field, especially when you're in the medical field, you have a certain level of compassion for people, which is why, you know, most of the time, besides the fact that it's a lucrative field, right? It's a lot of money in it. We're not gonna bypass that, but like a lot of people who are in that field, especially when they're at higher rank like that, we're not talking about like you know, a PCA or a CNA where they're just like getting some paper real quick. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm talking about like somebody who went to school for this for years, a doctor, a surgeon, you know, even techs and stuff like that, like and nurses and stuff like there's a certain level of compassion that you have for people, which is why you went down the road you went down. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's gonna hurt you. And, you know, it's sad to say that there are certain policies and things that based on whatever facility you're, you know, working at, they might have policies that you gotta abide by. You know what I'm saying? As a surgeon, you're supposed to do this and this, that, and the third. Where you see somebody, you know, coming in and the only thing on your mind is you want to save this person's life. So whatever the policy is, you might want to bypass that and be like, I'll deal with the repercussions later. I'm not even worried about that. Let me save this person's life.
So you think there'll bend the law to save a person's life at that
I feel
moment in
like if
time?
you have that extra level of compassion, yeah, I think